Welcome to day 83. Now today I'm wearing this shirt. I've often spoke about my favourite run, the places that I've loved running in, and talking about when me and Mrs. Everyone's got a story to tell. We ran together the 5k and the 10k in Paris. But never really told you about the time that I was scared to do a run. I wasn't looking forward to it. So, this is that story. Come along, I'll tell you all about it. Welcome to day 83. The date was January 6th, 2024. It was a Saturday. Come on, tell you a bit more. It was January 6th, 2024, and I was taking part in a 4-day race event, and I thought it was okay until the day before spooked me a little bit. Do you want to hear some more? Come on. You can just feel that summer's just drawing to a close. I think it was a couple of days ago that the little ones went back to school. Some of them starting school for the first time. And then the weather was really nice. But I think now it's just getting a little bit duller, a little bit darker earlier. For me, that's a sign that it's time to go on holiday. This bit of the River Spey, just here, it always makes me smile. Just going to go over here. I'll explain to you what I mean. As I was following this path, I always looked to the left and just watched the water flowing by. But this part here always reminds me of Milo, the boxer dog who would always jump in for a stick or a tree. No matter what the weather, no matter how cold it was, he would just go in. I loved Milo. He was a great boxer dog. But what I liked about him most was he would just get tired. he just wasn't fit, and I loved that. He would start off with so much excitement, and then he would just be exhausted, and he would just look tired, and he just wanted to sleep. But this bit here, this is where Milo would jump in. No hesitation, No thought, just tree, stick, and off we would go. If I've got a little clip of Milo jumping in, I'll insert it here. But yeah, this is Milo's little bit. Good boy. Yes, that was Milo, the boxer dog who knew no barriers. Stick, water, off we would go. And sometimes he would carry a tree. What a fantastic boy he was.
Stop going.
Come on. Come on. It's nice to be back on the river again. We got into the habit, me and Mrs. Everyone's Got a Story to Tell. We'd walk this path most nights, sometimes 5 nights a week. And we knew that it would give us 5k. So 2.5k one side and then come back. We knew we could let the dogs off. They could get a little drink. And just a little chat about holiday plans, what's been happening in your day, and just general chit chat. And I've enjoyed every night of it. No matter if it's quiet walks, or watching the dogs jump in, or watching me fall in. All good fun. So the race that I feared the most was on Saturday, the 6th of January 2024. But to explain all about that and why I was so scared, let me take you back to the beginning. Now, a couple of days before that, myself and Mrs. Everyone's got a story to tell. We had registered for some races in Walt Disney World. Now, the race that I was taking part in was a 4-day running event. On the Thursday was the 5k. On the Friday was 10k. The Saturday was a half marathon. And on the Sunday was a marathon. So going back to the Wednesday, we went along to a place that would give you the parcel pickup. They gave you a bib number and also gave you 4 running t-shirts, one for every day. You could also just go and do the 5k by itself, or the 10k, or the half marathon, or the marathon. But on this year, in 2024, I was doing all 4 of them. 5k, 10k, half marathon and marathon. So the race began on Thursday. Each race began at the same time. It began at 5 o'clock in the morning. So the first race was the 4th of January 2024, and that was a 5k. So I wanted to work out a few things. How early to get up. There was buses from the hotel. I wanted to make sure I was on the bus, not waiting for a bus or missing a bus. Then it would drop you off maybe 15 minutes before the start line. So I was just trying to factor in all those little things. Get up early, stretch, then think, how far is it to the bus? How long will the bus take? And make sure I'm in the correct corral. This time I was very lucky. I was in corral A. So I was quite close to the start line. And I think this closing time for corrals was about 4:15 in the morning. So you wanted to make sure you're in there in plenty of time. And I think most times I was probably in the corral for about 4 o'clock in the morning. So on the 5k, which was a Thursday, it took me about half an hour. Now with the races that Disney do, they want everyone to enjoy it. They want it to be very inclusive of everyone, age, how physically fit, or your ability to compete it. For the first 2 races, the 5k and the 10k, there's no time at the end, it's just enjoy the events. And I think as you get to the marathon, there's balloon ladies who are walking behind people, and after so many miles, with the greatest smile and a lot of love, they'll quietly sweep you off and say, well, if we're overtaking you and we're still overtaking you time we get to this bus, you're on the bus and you're going back home. So I enjoyed the 5k, but the 5k, as 5ks tend to be, was over far too quickly. Finished about 5:30, and I thought, I'll just stay up. But with being awake from about 2 o'clock in the morning, I think I got to about 10:30. I was pretty much out on my feet. So I was kind of learning as I go for the 4 days of running, how much effort to put in. And I thought, well, I'll enjoy the 5k. I was almost trying to think of it backwards, thinking, you've got a marathon in 4 days' time. Don't push yourself too much, because the marathon being 26 miles, you want to keep some energy left for the event on the Sunday. So I knew I could probably get around the 5k, and I'm thinking to myself, can't run fast in the half marathon or run to a pace I would normally run at, because I've got a marathon the next day. So the 10k was the one that I can run in. So I thought I'll give my legs a little run, see how they're feeling. I've kind of got a time in mind what I wanted to do. Again, there's no timer at the end, there's no clock, but just in my own head, just for recording it. And I think I remember getting to about halfway, 4 or 5k, and I thought to myself, okay Frank, let's start running. And there was nothing there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm really struggling here. So I tried to keep going, and I finished the 10k in a very good time, but I felt almost quite despondent, quite worried that I wanted to give my legs a little run. Just run for 2 or 3k, Frank, and just pick up the pace. So as I began to pick up the pace in the 10k, I realised that there was no pace there. My legs were heavy, I was tired, and then I began to worry. There is no time for recovery. The 4-day race event happens in Florida the 1st or 2nd week in January. 4 races, 4 days, straight after Christmas, straight after New Year. 5k done, 10k done. 10k kind of gave me a little bit of fear, thinking, can I complete this? Can I do a half marathon tomorrow and then a marathon the next day? Now, how many times have I thought to myself, I'll go and run a marathon tomorrow. The brain tells you can quite happily do it, but in reality your legs tire, your brain keeps going, but your body just gets fatigued. So in the 10k I felt quite fatigued. I thought, I'm not looking forward to the half marathon tomorrow. The half marathon was on Saturday. The 10k was the Friday morning. Began getting emails into Friday night. Adverse weather warnings. And I wasn't really paying any attention. Extreme weather warnings. Chances of thunder, heavy rain for Saturday morning. And then Disney began emailing me. We may have to shorten the course for the half marathon to obviously safeguard our volunteers, our performers, and most importantly, people who are taking part. So they wanted to tell everyone, give them advance notice, so at least they could prepare. Maybe the course may be shortened, depending how much and how bad the weather is. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty delighted by that. And when I got there, about 4:15 in the morning, my confidence was gone. I'd ran, in my mind, quite a tired 10k, and this, the half marathon, was the one that was going to break me, and then I would be not able to do the marathon the next day. So when I got there, about into the corral, just kind of huddling, a bit cold, the rain hadn't started yet. I saw people running, just running around laps of each of the corrals or round the bus station part where our buses would be. I didn't realise it at the time until after I'd finished the half marathon. After each race, you would get a medal for the 5k, the 10k, the half marathon, the marathon. And if you did the 4 races, you would get a 5th medal, the Dopey Challenge medal, after the marathon. So it didn't matter if the half marathon was cut short, you were still going to get a medal. But these brave souls wanted to run 13.1 miles. So they knew the race was going to be a little bit shorter. Didn't know how much by. So they were, as a little community, trying to add some miles before the race started. So they could say to themselves, on that day, I ran a half marathon. Maybe not from start to finish, but over the miles, I did 13.1 miles. But me, I had other ideas. I was genuinely praying for the race to be short. And I got halfway and the rain came down. So at this point, with being in Corral A, I was quite quick to get finished. And the half marathon is 21 kilometres. And I think on this occasion, it was only possibly about 11 kilometres. And I think people behind me from Corral B, C, D, E and F, they may have had maybe even a shorter race. But this race, this half marathon race, was the one that I genuinely feared most. Because I thought, my tank is empty. I've nothing to give. But mercifully, the half marathon was cut short. So I completed the half marathon. Still got a medal at the end. Now it wasn't technically a half marathon. And when I finished, I got straight on the bus and waited for the bus to fill up and felt very proud of myself. But as I looked out the window, I'm still seeing people running, wanting to make up 13.1 miles. And I think I carried that fear of, am I feeling fit? Am I feeling fatigued? Into the marathon. And I wanted to pace myself in the marathon. And I thought, remember what happened in Bournemouth, Frank. Remember you overtrained, you overthought about it, and you kind of just blew up the last couple of miles. So I thought, don't be a hero. Just try and do, on marathon day, maybe 6-minute kilometres. And for the first 10k or so, I was struggling to do 6 minutes a kilometre. And then a funny thing happened. And a funny thing that will stay with me for a long time. And a very Scottish thing, I would say. I'd been so fearful to run the marathon and so tentative not to burn myself out that I got halfway. I'm sure I've told this story before, but it was raining. It had been raining on the half marathon, and the rain had carried on in to the marathon day of the Sunday. I remember going to one of the restrooms, got myself dried, and I came out. And I'd been kind of following people. People would overtake me. I'd been following a group who were doing a kind of walk-run system. And I would get ahead of them. And I would hear some man saying, right, stop. And then they would walk. So when they walked, I overtook them. But then they would catch me again. And I thought, this walk-run system is actually very good. But I'm still not getting ahead of them. So by the time 13 miles came, they'd left me behind. I thought, I'm going to go to a restroom, just get dried, take a few minutes to myself, and off we go. But something very strange happened. Something that kind of made me go kind of a bit crazy and almost laugh at myself. When I came out the restroom, the group that I had been kind of following and keeping ahead of would be 200-300 metres ahead of me. I remember it began to rain really, really bad. And I began to enjoy it. Almost as if I began to finally relax. I'd enjoyed doing the 5k, although it was very early in the morning. I enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy the 10k because I had a plan in mind that I would run a little bit faster and just see how mechanically I was doing. So then fear kind of overtook me. I wasn't looking forward to the half marathon, and mercifully the half marathon got cut short. So when it came to marathon day, I was kind of hiding behind a group who I just couldn't overtake, and I didn't want to go any faster. But then the rain came on. 13 miles, exactly halfway, and a 13 miles still to go. My trainers were soaking wet, and I thought to myself, rather foolishly I would think, I'm just going to start running now. And so I did. I looked over my run keeper, and each kilometre it tells you how fast, how your average pace is overall, and how each kilometre is for 42 kilometres. So I looked at it, and from 21 kilometres to about 32, I just got faster and faster. And I just started running, and I thought to myself, I'm just going to run the last 13 mile. Forget about the first 13. I've had enough of this. It's time to run. And this overwhelming joy had finally come over me from the fear of this half marathon, from the fear of I'm not going to do this, to this elation that I'm going to be okay. I'm really enjoying this. 13 mile went, 14 mile went, 15 mile, all the way up to about 21 mile. And I was flying. Now, I'm not saying that I was going as fast as a front runner. It's never the case. But in my mind, in my body, and how I felt I wanted to run. And my body wanted to run. And I felt free. So I did. I just ran. And I loved it. I love how running gives you that fear and suddenly that elation. And for once, on marathon number 4, I knew I was going to be okay. I knew I was going to finish it. I knew I wasn't going to get cramp. I had a small little bit of pain, probably about mile 22. And I thought, okay, I've been waiting for you to appear. This fatigue that I had in Bournemouth, the tiredness, I knew that the running a lot faster, I would pay the price. So we were going down a hill, climbing up a hill, and it's quite a steep hill. So all I thought to myself is, Frank, just dig in. just keep your eye on the person in front of you. There was a gentleman just in front of me, and I just tried to stay beside him a little bit. And I got to the top of the hill, and it passed. It was okay. That was a great marathon. And it was also good because Mrs. Everyone's got a story to tell. She was there for the last, when I got to mile 24 and a half. I knew she'd be there. And there she was. And I was so happy to see her. I didn't want to stop or anything in case it slowed me down. But there's a video of it where I just look goofy and quite happy. This is 25 miles. And I'm just la 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 la. Just, I knew I was happy. I knew I was enjoying it. And I knew I was going to finish strong. I think that was my fastest marathon. It was also the longest marathon. You have in your time 26.2 or 42k. I think it was a little bit longer. That was a great 4-day running event. And at the end of a marathon, you're given your marathon medal. And then you're given the 5th medal for completing the Dopey Challenge, which is 4 races in 4 days. And I felt quite emotional. It was done. People were clapping. People were saying, well done. And I felt I genuinely achieved something that I was very proud of. And it wasn't easy. I'd worked hard. I'd struggled. But by 13 miles on a marathon, it was time for me to run. So for 4 days, I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I stretched, had a little wash, got my running gear out, got to the bus stop, then waited to start. So the funny thing happened a couple of days later. I still kept waking up bright and alert, 2 o'clock in the morning. Frank, it's too early. So it took me a couple of days just to kind of lose that conditioning of get up, stretch, get out. Nope, I'm on holiday. So that was the story of my race that I feared the most. I've often talked about the races we've really enjoyed, the places we've been to, and the adventures we've had. But this one made me really proud because I felt quite low. And I thought, I can't do this. And then fast forward a day later, after 13 miles in the rain, and I thought, I'm just going to run to the finish line. And so I did.
Yeah, you guys are so close. 2 miles to go, you got this.
That was really funny there. I was talking about the race that I feared the most, which was this one, the half marathon, which was Saturday the 6th of January 2024. and they cut it in half because of the rain. And I was talking about running the marathon the next day, and it was raining really heavy, and how much I just wanted to run. And then a funny thing happened a few minutes ago. It started to rain. I love being out in the rain, but I think I have to go home. Right, Mrs. Everyone's got a story to tell. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Day 83. This has been a good day. And I've not got any leggings on. Let's go. So to quote Forrest Gump, on a marathon day on Sunday the 7th of January 2025, 13 mile, it's raining, and I thought to myself, I just felt like running, so I did. So with a beautiful bridge behind us, a lovely church, and the River Spey, and it's raining, day 83 is over. But tomorrow, if you know anyone who's going to the Coldplay concert in Wembley, say hello to my youngest daughter for me and look after her. She's on her way to London to see Coldplay. I'm really jealous, but I'm also super happy. So I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy what's left of day 83. And as always, thanks for listening.